You are listening to the IFH Podcast Network. For more amazing filmmaking and screenwriting podcasts, just go to ifhpodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Filmmaking Conversations with Damian Swaby. Listen to conversations with award-winning filmmakers, directors from the golden age of television, and creatives from the indie film community who continue to inspire the next generation of filmmakers. And now, over to your host, Damian Swaby.
Hi, Eryn. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Good to have you here on the podcast. It's really good speaking to such a talented actor, writer, producer, director. I love those titles.
I'm flattered. This is too kind. Happy to be here with you.
Good. So I watched your show reel and I saw a lot of things in it that really impressed me, and I thought, oh, that's really good. She's got a lot of talent and a great range there, so it'd be great to speak to you. Now, in terms of being an actress and getting in certain roles and certain projects is what everybody wants to do. Everybody wants to be involved in great projects. Everybody wants to get handed scripts that they think, oh, I'm in love with it. It's my baby. I'm going to do all this great stuff once I've learned the lines. So how did you start off in your career and get into acting?
It was it wasn't intentional. But I wound up in LA, not for the industry. I was just finishing university. And I was actually avoiding it at all costs because I had a lot of friends in the industry and I just saw how hard it was on everyone and impossible. And I was like, man, I don't want that life. So I was actually going a completely different direction, and then found myself in kind of one of those office job life situations where I wasn't fulfilled. I was very like black and white and like serious and hating my day to day. So I was like soul searching, and I was taking a bunch of, classes on weekends and just different things to try to like get myself out of whatever the monotony was. And then along the way, randomly took an improv class just for fun on the weekends. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. Like, adults have permission to like just imagine and be silly, and it's encouraged, and it just like lit me up. And I had taken some acting classes in my youth, like way back, but it was never like, I never thought of it as like a goal or anything. So like when I took that improv class as an adult, it just kind of shifted my reality a little bit. I was like, whoa, I got to do something with this. I just loved it. So improv is what sucked me into like the acting world and like the industry and everything. Even though I was like surrounded by it, I was like living in LA, like I was very much in it indirectly before that. But yeah, I blame improv for everything that's happened since then.
So what is it you actually saw in your friends' life as actors that was a bit off-putting for you?
I mean, the struggle was real, the day-to-day, the rejection, the auditions. And, there was no like rhyme or reason to any of it. Like, I had very talented friends that like wouldn't book. And then I knew people that were like, all right, but they were working. And it was just kind of like, it wasn't just like a hard work and dedication. It was like that plus luck and being in the right place at the right time. And like the stars had to align for anything to work out. And, I was just like, I didn't see a path, it didn't make sense. But I think at some point in my 20s, I was like, you know what? F it all. I'm just gonna take a swing and see what happens. And, I at least I didn't go into it with stars in my eyes. I was very like grounded and aware that like this really might not work out, but I got to give it a try because I'm enjoying this process. And I had a pretty thick skin, luckily. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I was not going into it with any like fantasies of like, I don't know. I think a lot of people move to LA with like big dreams and stuff. And like, that just wasn't my path into it at all. I was very weary.
I can understand. And a lot of people work in offices and they want more. They want a different life. I think that's very fair to say. Also, a lot of people in offices, when they do say to people, my journey is going to be something else now. I want to act. I want to dance. I want to sing. When you said you wanted to act, what did people inside your office say to you?
You know, I didn't explain a lot. I just, because I had been taking like random classes for like about a year or two on and off, like just to like shake up the snow globe. Of taking like on-camera hosting classes and like a random math class at a college because I missed math and like just different things. I didn't know what I was doing. And then I took that improv class and I think I kind of like, I let it settle after that. And then I think I took a vacation, like an extended vacation that summer. And then when I got back, I gave my 2-week notice and I was like, I'm out.
And what type of job was this in an office?
Oh, I was like a legal receptionist, secretary type, you know, like doing a lot of filing and transcription. And, you know, I actually, you know, I really enjoyed certain parts of that world and I learned a lot, but it was just, I was missing something. I was missing something deep, like creatively fulfilling. It was like not doing it for me.
Understandable. So when you took the leap, you left the office and now you're going to become an actress. Get an agent? How did you do that?
Or no, that took a long time. No, I went full time into acting classes. I just put it all on my credit card and like, I just took every acting class I could squeeze into my schedule for like a year. So just like, you know, 6 days a week, eat, sleep, breathe classes. Cause I didn't know what I was doing. Like I had some acting classes, like, you know, in my teens for fun, like, you know, theater and some commercial acting and blah, blah. But I didn't take it seriously. So I really had to like, I was starting from nothing. All I knew was like, I like improv. I'm going to do some more of that. I'm going to take some scene study and some like voice classes and like everything I could do. And I just studied for like a full year with the best teachers I could get in with in LA. And then eventually I did go spend a summer at RADA in London.
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm calling myself an actor, but I've never, you know, trained in Shakespeare. I should probably do that. So eventually I did spend a summer at RADA. So that was really cool.
So how did you compare scene study to improv, which you told us you like? And what was RADA like for you? Very interested to know.
Man, they're all so different. They don't even compare. It's like different worlds. Improv, I just love. And whenever I find myself kind of like questioning anything, I'm like, go take an improv class. Cause it just brings me right back to like what I love about all of it. It's just like, you're so present. You're just dealing with the person in front of you and the given circumstances. And there's zero expectations. It'll either work out or it won't, but it's like, it's okay. Yeah. It's all like, it's just, you're working that kind of muscle to just be there and interact and engage. And, you know, you can't overthink, because if you overthink, it's not going to work. You just have to just do it. And I love that. And then like with scene study, like, I mean, that I took scene study for like 2 years, you know, solidly 2 years. And I think that was a really helpful foundation, like studying text, like really like building on the practice of character work and the backstory and honoring the text and the world, and like going deeper and like rehearsing weekly with your scene partner and like just getting as deep into it as you are able to. I thought was super helpful. And I learned so much. That was with Howard Fine in Los Angeles. That was an excellent foundation to launch from. And then I did a lot of like voice work with David Corey here in Los Angeles. I mean, that work with him was life-changing. I think everyone needs to take a David Corey class if you're in this industry. It's just, it elevates you. It just, you step up. And then with RADA, like that was something else entirely. That was like an immersive, like 9 to 5, 9 to 6. And then I added Saturday classes too. And like,
wow.
So I was like literally in class like 6 days a week, like, and they do everything there. It's just, it's Shakespeare, it's voice, it's clown, it's movement, dance, singing, mask work, like it was just like everything. And I loved that. I was like, I could see how, you could want to do like a 2 or 3 year conservatory or something. I was like, yeah, I get it. It's pretty great. I could live this life. So yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Excellent. So I'm right by saying, I'm going to go on a limb. Yeah, I am right by saying you were brought up in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And you've lived and worked in LA, and you spent time in England at RADA. So you're a very well-rounded actress, in my opinion, in terms of geography and how you've gone on your journey in terms of life experience.
Thank you. I always want to do more, though. I'm like, what else? I haven't done enough. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
But where else do you want to live? When you say you want to do more, what exactly do you mean?
I mean, you can always take more classes. I did some groundlings here in LA. I would love to do more of that. I would love to do more training in London. I love London. I've been there many times. And
oh, great.
That was the first time I'd like taken classes there. But yeah, it'd be great to like spend a year there maybe and do more of that. Or I can't say I'm a New York person,
okay,
but I know some of the, world-class talent is in New York and world-class training. So like, one day, like I could see myself spending some time in New York just to like really study. But, the timing would have to make sense with everything else going on. So.
Of course, timing always has to make sense. So things can go a bit wrong. If that makes sense.
We're right.
So after all of your training and all the training you still want to do, but I shouldn't say after all of your training, you get to a situation where you're applying for gigs, basically. You're being up for auditions. What was that process like for you? And are you still applying for auditions at the moment?
Oh, yeah. I audition as much as I possibly can. I have an awesome agent in Atlanta, Georgia now. And the stuff I'm auditioning for through them has been like amazing. I'm really reaching, I'm going up for things that like, I never thought I'd audition for, like really major, major stuff. And, when I don't get it, it's okay, because then I watch the thing and it's like some star booked it. I'm like, okay, well, at least it wasn't like necessarily a talent thing. It was like, okay, they could get a name. Got it. But yeah, I'm loving the kind of like the steps. I see the kind of progress and I'm just enjoying the process of it. I didn't go into this with expectations. I still don't have expectations. I'm just doing my thing. I'm making some things on the side.
Nice.
I'm not waiting for someone to say yes to me. I'm making other things happen. And
Excellent.
Then if I book something, great. But yeah, I'm keeping myself busy. So
tell us some of the things you've auditioned for that you're proud of, and some of the things that you didn't quite get due to a star booking the gig.
Oh man. So many shows right now, actually. A lot of the shows that have been coming out recently. Oh gosh, I feel like I've signed NDAs with certain things. I'm actually hesitant to like mention. Did I sign an NDA? Yeah.
I understand if you don't want to mention it, just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, because I couldn't tell, like literally, I'm auditioning a lot, and I
Great.
couldn't tell you which ones I'm allowed to say or not
Okay.
without going back through them. But it's a lot of TV, a lot of TV. And I was very grateful to book a gig in Atlanta called The First Ladies.
Mm.
And that was like a really big deal for me. It was like my
Yeah.
first job out of Atlanta. And it wasn't a big role at all. So I don't want to like make it sound bigger than it was, but I was on set with some of the best actors in the world. And I was just like pinching myself, like, oh my God, just be cool, Eryn, be cool. Don't mess this up, you know? But yeah, that was an exceptional experience. So,
And that was for maybe 4 episodes, was it? Or 5 episodes?
I signed up for 4, and I think the way editing worked out, I ended up in 5. So I just got lucky that way. But yeah, 4 or 5, depending on how you look at it.
Excellent. And some of the other projects I've seen you in that are really good. One of my favorite directors, Lynn Shelton.
Oh yeah,
Outside In
God.
with Jay Duplass. I always get Mark and Jay mixed up, but Jay Duplass, I'm sure, is the brother that is in that film. What was it like taking part in that film, and what was the audition process like for you?
Okay. First of all, I might cry because Lynn Shelton
Oh, sorry.
was such a
Sorry.
inspiration. But that movie was amazing to be a part of and work with her. In hindsight, I didn't realize how lucky I was at the time, honestly. I mean, I knew it was a cool gig, but like now that she's passed, I'm like, damn. That was like, I wish I had told her how much I appreciated it. But yeah, I auditioned for it. I auditioned in Seattle. They were filming in Seattle, and the casting director was up there. The casting office was up there. They obviously brought in certain name talent from LA or elsewhere, like Jay and Edie Falco. But they were casting some smaller parts out of Seattle. And so I got an audition through my agent up there, and I literally went in the room and auditioned and got the call back. Went back a couple weeks later for the callback, did it again. That time Lynn was in the room, and I just booked it. It was literally just auditioning. No magic there. I just did it.
Excellent. And obviously you done exceptionally well to get booked for the role. That's for sure.
Thank you. I felt at the time, I felt good about it. And I was like, I might book this one. Sometimes you have that feeling. It's not all the time, but like sometimes it went well. Like it went well enough. And if they don't go with you, it wasn't because you didn't do well in the audition. But yeah, you never know. You never know. And I got very lucky. It was kind of a right place at the right time thing. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people had to sign off on that one. I think for me to book that was like Lynn, the casting director. I'm sure Jay and Mark had to both sign off on me booking that one. Because it was a smaller role, but it was a very intimate role. So I think they probably had to make sure Jay was feeling good about, feeling safe and like feeling like he was with a scene partner that could handle the situations and, be professional about it. So.
Exactly. You yourself have mentioned that Lynn Shelton was a huge influence on you, and you write, direct, and produce also. In what ways do you think Lynn Shelton has been an influence on you as a writer, director, producer?
Oh man. When I booked that, or like leading up to it and after, like I binged a lot of her movies that she made because I wanted to know her tone, what, her style of filmmaking was. So when I got to set, I was in that world, that Lynn Shelton world, because she very much had like a very specific kind of world building she did. And it was like, yeah, I was just inspired by her story, because she started out, I think, as an editor for years and years, and then eventually started making her own things. And she killed it. I mean, she was doing some amazing films, and then she started doing TV as well down in LA. And I was just like, wow, like that's so inspiring. Like she didn't let anyone say, no, you're some editor in Seattle, you can't do it. Like, no, she's like, she did it. She really did it. And she was like really on a path to blow up Hollywood for sure. I think she was definitely taken too soon from us. But yeah, and being on set with her, she knew what she wanted. She ran that set like a pro. Yeah, got in and out of scenes. Like she definitely had like the team building around her. She was great at putting the crew, the whole team together to execute and like just get through it. And like everyone just enjoyed those set days, even was like miserable weather outside. It was like everyone was like, yeah, we're here, we're doing it, we're making this, it's gonna be great.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. And she really did know what she wanted, and it's nice to hear that coming from an editor who wouldn't back down until she was able to make the film she wanted and really move forward with herself. That's a really good thing that happened and that she done. But in terms of television and film, which you both done, what would you say you prefer out of TV and film, and why?
As an actor or?
As an actor, sorry.
Well, gosh. I mean, I've only done so much. So this is from a very limited perspective. The easy answer is I love both. Like whatever job I can get, it's like permission to like take on a character and a role and like play. Sign me up. I think the potential with TV to have kind of multiple seasons and like kind of see a character and story kind of evolve and have that journey, I think is super interesting. I haven't really had that opportunity yet to do like multiple seasons of anything, but I think that potential is really cool. But I think there's so much that can be said for like, I mean, there's no small parts, right? Like you can do so much with like 1 or 2 days on set of work, and someone sees it and then they're like, hey, I love that. I loved you in that thing that you did. I'm like, oh, thank you. That's fantastic. So I don't know. I love all of it. I know it's kind of a cop-out answer, but it's true.
If it's true, it's fair, and why not? You can love all of it, that's for sure. And in terms of your own projects, can you tell us about 1 or 2 of the projects you've worked on, or maybe one you've got in the pipeline?
Yeah. So there's a project I work on. It's an independent series called The Scottish Play. I'm one of the producers on it. It's a team effort, though, for sure. Literally, it takes a village to put a project together. So I'm also acting in that. And we are wrapping up the 10th episode right now and pushing it into post-production. So looking forward to sharing that with the world, hopefully later in the year. And then we're also kind of secretly creating a little animated series that we're hoping to share with the world at some point this year as well. It'll be adult comedy, adult, like not for kids. But, something you might see on Adult Swim or something kind of like in that vein. And then there's a short film we did called Smiling Skeletons, and it has a screening coming up in Atlanta at the Atlanta After Dark Film Festival. So we're looking forward to attending that. And there's a bunch of stuff kind of in the pipeline, but those are the kind of things on like right on my plate right now that I'm juggling.
So tell us what is the Scottish play about?
Okay. It's a half-hour dark comedy series about a local kind of community theater company that decides to do the play Macbeth.
Okay.
And it doesn't go well. So it's just kind of the process of them putting the show together. And then the final episode, which is episode 10, is the play itself. And it's kind of like the big finale. And, you know, it all goes awry and it gets darker and darker and weirder. So, yeah.
So what brought you all to doing something around Macbeth?
That was the writer-director. Wheatus Kren. It's his brain baby. And I am there to help facilitate and make it happen. And I'm lucky enough to have a role in it. But he was always kind of that Shakespeare world. He's read a lot of Shakespeare, inspired by it. He trained at there's another school in London.
Lambda?
It wasn't Lambda. It was Alra, I think.
Alra.
I think it was Alra.
Okay.
Yeah. Academy of Live and Recording Arts or something. Anyway, and I think early on he kind of got that Shakespeare bug. And I don't know where it came from. It was in his head, and then it was on paper, and then we were making it. So, yeah, that's a whole other story, I think.
That's good. And when you come together to do these type of projects, is it something that you fund yourselves, or did you go through crowdfunding, or was there a traditional funding route like grants, applications, or?
I mean, every project is different. I've definitely done like crowdfunding. There's definitely been things where it's like investors or like just raising money privately, or there's certain tax incentives you can tap into. It's really hard in the States to find funding for anything. Like in Europe, there's different structures. Like literally in Germany, you can like just get funded by the state. They have like state film financing entities that like the state puts money in and then they fund stuff. And like, it doesn't work like that here. Like the United States, it's really hard if you're not working in the studio system. Getting anything made here is like a miracle, I swear. But yeah, I think that's also why more and more people are looking abroad and like filming abroad and stuff. So yeah, I mean, every project is different and what it requires. Like I'm trying to get a project off the ground right now where I'm trying to look into grants. I'm trying to look into crowdfunding, tax incentives, combining all of that, and like probably putting some, expenses on a credit card and just like, paying for it yourself is like a big part of it. So it's like, you do what you got to do. If you really want to make something, you just throw everything at it.
You certainly do what you got to do. And a lot of the times I think people do actually part fund projects. Maybe I'm generalizing. And what I mean by that is it sometimes looks good when you go forward to get funding and say, well, this is how much I've got and how much can you put in?
Yes.
So when you do write projects and you think to yourself, okay, this is my story that I'm dying to tell and I want to get funding, do you write the story, the screenplay with that in mind? So for example, many people have come on this podcast and said, well, if you want to get funding or if you want to do a feature film that doesn't have any stars attached to it, it'd be best if you did a horror film, maybe, because horror projects don't rely on stars traditionally. So that would inspire someone to write a horror film. What about you? When you're writing, do you have those things in mind, or are you just writing straight from the heart?
Well, luckily I like horror and psychological thrillers and stuff. That I love it. I am a consumer of that genre. So I actually do write really dark, twisted screenplays. for features. Now, the stuff I've had made has been shorts, and those, interestingly, haven't really been of that genre. But with shorts, I think there's less like strategy going into a play with like, or a screenplay with a short. Like, usually a short for me is just kind of just like comes out of my brain, and I don't put a lot of like expectation on that. Like, I have so many short screenplays on my laptop, like just tons of them. And so a few have been made, a lot haven't. And I think it's just kind of like picking the one at the right time and who wants to make it. And like, there's one that I have that a producer's interested in making, and it's like a family drama. And, it's like, cool. And then, the first short I made was definitely like a drama. It's called Fool. And then the one that's playing at the Atlanta After Dark Film Festival, it was a completely different situation. It's definitely like a dark action thriller, but we actually did it without a script. So like,
okay,
that was a whole other thing. That I could explain some other time. But yeah, but as far as feature films, mostly what I've written is actually kind of like in the thriller horror genre. And so I am hoping to get one of those made one day soon. So we'll see.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good luck. I hope you do. And I can't wait to watch it when you do.
Thank you.
So lastly, before we finish up this interview here, if you had stayed in the office and never followed your dreams, what do you think your life would look like now?
Probably fine. I'd be fine. I think what I've learned over time is like, I kind of like a cat. I land on my feet. Life throws you in all sorts of directions, and it's like, it's how you handle it and recover is what counts. Yeah, I think I would have been fine. I probably would have still found my way into some kind of creative outlet, even if I like kept my day job. Maybe I'd be writing still, I'm writing, and like maybe I would have found my way to writing in a different path. The path I took, I found it through acting. I did the acting thing, and like along the way started writing. I could see how if I'd stayed in the day job, I probably would have still found my way to writing eventually. So yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. And the great thing about writing is all you need is a pen and paper.
Yeah.
We got laptops and everything else. But if you want to write, it really is one of those things you or I or whoever can just do by ourselves when we have the time. Acting or filmmaking requires other people, and it's a lot more expensive, that's for sure. So that's the good thing.
With writing, you don't need permission. You just do it. And it's on your own time. You can be anywhere in the world. It can be any hour of the day. So if you want to write, you can write.
Excellent. So Eryn, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time, and we'll definitely speak soon.
Thank you so much. Let's stay in touch.
Definitely.
Have you thought of upgrading your cinematography game? Would you like to have an ASC cinematographer mentor you for free? Join veteran cinematographer Suki Medenzovic, ASC, Disney, Pixar, FX Networks, Netflix, American Horror Story. As he teaches you how to create beautiful images using 3 lighting techniques he has mastered on film sets over his 30-plus years in the film industry. Each technique uses basic, low-cost lighting equipment so that anyone can achieve beautiful visuals no matter your project's budget. If you want to take your cinematography to the next level, visit filmmakingconversations.com to sign up for instant access. If you like this podcast, share it with friends, leave a comment in the comments section, and hit the subscribe button.